Hi everyone, it's Carol Williams with Williams Immigration, and we are back for another Monday morning edition of Beyond the Soundbite, where we talk about all things U.S. immigration. Y'all know usually I like to keep it within what's happened within the past week, but there are some things that spill over outside of the week that I think are long-term that I think you need to know about, so we talk about those things as well. First thing I want to talk about, I know it is of no surprise, but it is the H-1B lottery. The registration is officially open. It opened last week. We know that it closes March 17th at noon Eastern Standard Time. So I do not recommend that you wait until March 17th, but get those H-1B registrations in so that if you have any sort of technical glitches or difficulties, you can get those resolved. Please remember, as the employer, you will need to create a My USCIS H-1B registrant account online. So if you have not done that, go ahead and do that. If you are not sure if you want to get someone registered, you need to make a decision now because again, the lottery closes March 17th. The next opportunity to enter an individual into the H-1B lottery will be next year, sometime in March, roughly around the same time in March. Even if the Immigration Service for some reason decides that they need to run a second lottery for this fiscal year, you will not then be able to enter the lottery. So you must enter the lottery now or wait until March of 2024. So again, the H-1B lottery registration period ends March 17th at noon Eastern Standard Time. Second thing I want to talk about this morning is the proposed fee increase by USCIS. We had a proposed regulation released back in January of this year. The comment period has been extended until March 13th, so middle of this month. Once comments are in, the Immigration Service goes through those comments, reads every single one of those comments, and determines based on those comments, maybe they missed something, maybe they hadn't thought about something, maybe they hadn't considered a specific point of view about the particular rule that they have published. So reading the comments helps them figure out if they want to make any revisions to that initially proposed rule, but they do not have to make revisions. This is not the first time the Immigration Service has raised the fees. They absolutely know what they want. They know how much money it takes to run the agency. So personally, I don't know that I see the amounts or the fee increases changing. But that said, if you have a comment or you have something that you want the Immigration Service to consider, then it's imperative that you provide them with your comments. Once they receive the comments, they read them all. They then make decisions whether or not they want to change any pieces of the rule. If they do, they change those pieces, and then the rule goes out for publishing. I am guessing, sort of an educated guess, I anticipate seeing these new fees enacted by the end of the summer. But again, that's just my own educated guess based on prior fee rules. But if you are waiting, if you're taking a wait and see kind of approach as to the fee increase, I would urge you to just file now. I honestly don't see the Immigration Service not increasing the fees this time around. It is a fee-based agency, so it operates the entire agency based on the fees that it takes from applications. So just keep that in mind as well. The next thing I want to talk about are worldwide green card numbers. We were recently provided numbers in terms of how many cases are actually pending worldwide for green cards. So the numbers I'm about to give you include dependent family members in addition to the principal applicant. So for family-based cases across all categories, across all preference categories, worldwide, we're looking at roughly about 3.9 million family cases that are currently pending. In terms of employment-based green card cases, which also includes eligible dependent family members, we are looking at roughly just over 4 million employment-based green card applications that are pending. So I get a lot of questions about the length of time that it's taking for processing. Why is it taking so long? What's happening? And what's happening in part is that we simply have a lot of cases currently in the system that are trying to be processed. When we talk about processing cases, especially at consulates, consulates do not have the number of staff to process both employment-based and family-based cases that are available to USCIS at local offices and at the larger service centers in the US. So the consulates are going to process slower than USCIS in the country because they have a smaller staff. That said, they're also generally only processing cases from individuals coming from their countries. So some consulates get a lot of green card applications while other consulates get very few, right? So the consulates that get very few green card cases, whether it be family or employment, they're gonna, we're gonna see their processing times a whole lot quicker. So we just have to keep that in mind. It's not a simple process. It is a very complicated logistical process inside the agencies. But I wanted to give you all those numbers just so that, we know that they are looking at roughly 3.9 million family-based green cards worldwide that are currently in some part of their processing, as well as just over 4 million on the employment-based side. Next thing I want to talk about again, which is really about timelines and timeframes. How long after my documents have been accepted by the NVC will I get my immigrant interview at the consulate? This is a question I get often, so I wanted to address it. Generally, we've been told by Department of State that immediate relatives and the non-immigrant K visa, which is for your fiancé visa, they generally strive to get those folks interviews with consulates within 30 days of all of the documents being received at NVC, and essentially the person being what we call documentarily qualified. So once they are documentarily qualified, they strive for about roughly 30 days in order to get that person an interview. Certainly there are some that are quicker, some that are slower. That's what they generally strive for. All other family-based and employment-based categories, they roughly try for a turnaround of 60 days once a case is documentarily qualified in order to get an interview with the consulate. However, and this is a big however, some consulates are still dealing with and working through their pandemic backlogs. So it is taking them longer. I've seen some cases where it's taken a couple of months, like maybe 3 to 4 months, to get an interview. So the agency certainly has desired timeframes and desired goals, which they think are reasonable. Some of those consulates are certainly meeting those goals. I don't want y'all to think that no consulate is meeting, these internal goals. But some are not, and that is simply because they have a higher volume of cases that are flowing through their consulate. So that's kind of where we are in terms of the actual processing times. The next thing and the last thing that I want to talk to y'all about this morning are E1 and E2 visa processing has resumed in the U.S. Embassy in Bogota, Colombia. So that post stopped processing E1s and E2s back in September of 2020. So as you can imagine, they have a few cases that need to be completed. So the consulate is affirmatively reaching out to eligible applicants that already have an application that was filed with them and is currently pending. And they are doing that now that they have started to resume processing. So if you have a case that you filed and it is just sitting, they have now just started to reach out to individuals. And the other thing that they are doing is they're also reaching out to individuals that have eligible renewal applications that are currently pending. So just keep that in mind. That process is going to take a little bit of time to get them back up and running. What we are not sure of at this point, we have not been notified, is whether or not Bogota is accepting brand new e-visa applications. They just haven't given us that information yet, so we are waiting. Hopefully it will be soon, but understanding that they have a backlog that now has been, sitting for quite some time since they stopped processing those applications back in September of 2020. If you have any questions about your employment-based or family-based immigration matter, feel free to reach out to our office. Our phone number is 954-903-1337. You can also pop a note in the comments. If this was helpful, feel free to click share, click like, drop a comment, let me know. I know that some of you always hit me up through the private messaging, and that is also fine. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday and a great rest of your week. And I will see you back again on Monday.